Hello, everyone. It's Charlton. Okay, I'm gonna try to tell the story as quick as possible and do my best. It's a story that really interested me. I was reading about it today. I meant to make a video about it as soon as I got home, and then the other story about CNN and the bomb threat came up. But it's just really quite remarkable. This is the CFO of Huawei. Huawei is a Chinese telecommunications equipment company and also a smartphone maker that has it's grown greatly over the last, I don't even know, 20, 30 years. It was founded by her father. I forget his name. It's mentioned in the NBC article here somewhere. Ren Zhengfei, who's one of the most powerful businessmen in China. I think he was in the Chinese military and a former engineer who started the company. Okay, so she was arrested in Canada in a connection flight in Vancouver on the 1st of December. But it only just got reported today. The news broke today. I think her court proceedings so far barred prosecutors and police from discussing the matter. I think so. The Chinese government has tried to keep things under wraps, but it's just a really remarkable move. I mean, the CFO of a humongous Chinese company, and they've now become the second biggest smartphone maker in the world, recently surpassing Apple as number two, which has other implications too, big time, because I mean, many people see this company as basically a state-run, Chinese company, that it's largely controlled by the Chinese government, and so there's obviously major national security issues with regards to their smartphones, but she's being detained. Well, they haven't exactly explicitly said why. The Canadian authorities basically said they arrested her at the request of the United States authorities, and I think it's the Eastern District of New York that's wanting has an arrest for her or charge for her. I think it has to do with sanctions within Iran and according, I think, to sources. The company has been transferring American technology in their telecommunication equipments that they're selling to the Iranians, and something to that effect, and violating the sanctions. Obviously, Huawei denies this and says that they're following all the rules and they haven't broken any protocols or anything, whatever the wordage is. And they're demanding, the Chinese government's demanding her safe return. But it's just extremely unusual move for the CFO of such a humongous major company to be detained in a connection flight in Canada. And she's, according to the Canadian authorities, she's going to be extradited to the United States. So she faces a hearing tomorrow that I think will, at least in part, determine her fate, and whether or not that actually goes through, or whether she's allowed to, be on her way and return to China. I'll read through some of the article. I'm just summarizing right now. But also, as a result of this, this is part of the Chinese trade war, Chinese-Trump-U.S. trade war that we're kind of, it's a daily thing now. Argentina, the G20, Trump met, I think, with, I forget, Xi, the president of China, and the trade deal that they're trying to negotiate was front and center. So, and this is part of it. It really is, I think, among other things, the fact that they actually are, or possibly could be, violating, sanctions that prohibit companies from doing business with Iran, particularly as it relates to technology that could be used in a variety of things, weapon systems and so forth. So, but the fact that basically what people are thinking or saying They're just is that China will retaliate, and basically every American business executive in China right now, could be detained and basically held hostage in retaliation for this. And the Chinese laws are so vague that it really, you could do just about anything and be scooped up by the Chinese government and said you did this, you did that, and and in a very sticky situation. It's just crazy, man. Absolutely crazy situation. When this news broke today, supposedly the Dow was down 700 points at one point, and I think largely recovered all of that or most of that by the end of the day. But it's a pretty significant development. It really is. And for somebody like myself that really used to follow business news and just sort of corporate gossip I get into, just like political gossip. I really find it fascinating, boardroom battles and stuff like that. I get into it. And it's just really amazing. I'm shocked by that the Canadian authorities, I mean, I'm quite impressed and proud of the Canadian authorities for Trudeau, to doing this. It's a bold move, and obviously, pretty to piss off the Chinese like that. When you're Canada, I'm impressed, man. I really am. Just when I saw the story, I was so fascinated by it, and I continue to be. So, if I could, without reading the entire article, they've literally become the second largest mobile smartphone maker in the world, and what a lot of U.S. defense officials worry. Senators have started to inquire into this. Ben Sasse, I think, was saying this is a problem. Other senators and politicians, and it is a problem. Is basically, this Chinese company that's an extension of the Chinese government that is selling smartphones and telecommunications equipment, cell towers and stuff like that. But smartphones, definitely. I mean, basically any U.S. official that has their phone could be hacked into by the company, or people with knowledge of their products, which would be the Chinese and the Chinese government, and be listening to spying on Americans, spying on high-level officials, staffers to politicians, or even inside the other parts of the intelligence, U.S. intelligence apparatus, etc., etc. It's crazy. And that has nothing to do with this, what she's being, supposedly detained for. So, the arrest of a Chinese tech executive in Canada on Saturday, it's almost a week ago, was the most recent and public chapter in the ongoing battle between the U.S. government and one of the world's biggest tech companies, Huawei. Huawei. That's how you pronounce that. I looked it up. The arrest, which came on U.S. extradition charges, featured a heightened level of intrigue due to the profile of the person arrested. Her name is Meng Wanzhou. She also goes by Kathy Meng and Sabrina Meng. I guess that's just easier, to say to people doing business internationally. So she's the chief financial officer and daughter. She also sits on the board of directors. She's the daughter of the founder, and she's supposedly the heir to take over the company as well and become the chief executive at some point. So, and the founder, Rang Zhangfei, is one of the most powerful businessmen in China. The arrest came amid reports that Huawei had been sending U.S. technology to Iran in violation of U.S. sanctions against the country. Huawei is not a household name in the U.S., but the company has emerged as one of the largest tech firms in the world in the past decade, thanks to its success in producing telecommunications equipment, including cell towers and equipment for next-generation 5G wireless networks. Huawei is also second in the global smartphone market, having surpassed Apple earlier in 2018, just recently. It's pretty crazy. And then it just goes on to say that Huawei is effectively an arm of the Chinese government, and it's more than capable of stealing information from U.S. officials by hacking its devices, Senator Tom Cotton from Arkansas said in February, when he introduced legislation to block the U.S. government from buying telecom equipment from Huawei, or ZTE. I remember that story a little bit. I'm not going to continue, but we'll see. We'll see where this develops, But over here it does say, every American firm doing business in China now is vulnerable after a Huawei arrest, former U.S. trade advisor. Because basically every American business executive in China, they could face retaliation and be just, arrested and held hostage in exchange for this person. It's pretty remarkable. And that is the story there. Alright, thanks for watching my videos. Please subscribe to my channel. Give me a like down below, and I will see you in the next video. Later, man.